Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have a young person with me today, Mike Egbe. Mike Egbe is the media director of Terra Leadership Foundation. And today we are going to discuss something about the youth activism. The youth activism we see in the country in the last few weeks. There is the Endsars protest that has enveloped practically every town, every major town in Nigeria today, from Lagos to Abuja, from Onitsha to Benin. And we are seeing the demand to end SARS, the demand to end police brutality. The government has responded with banning of SARS and creating of SWAT, and yet, instead of abating, the protests are increasing and gaining momentum. And we are seeing an unprecedented amount of organization and support, not only among youths in this country, but youths from across the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw my friend's daughter leading the protests in London, in France, in the US, and more cities across the world are joining Endsars.
Yeah.
And what is more, Endsars is becoming just a metaphor for end bad governance, end poverty, end inequality, and all kinds of things. Yeah. How do you, as a young person, see what is happening today?
Thank you, Father. Nice to be on this other side of the divide. Interesting time, I must say. A lot of emotions for me, but interesting time. We saw most of this kind of protests happen in several places around the world, but perhaps we never imagined it would happen in Nigeria, at least not so soon. You see the level of organization among the protesters, and you really feel proud to be a Nigerian.
And you, proud to be a youth?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I mean, I went online. I was following a lot of social media platforms, and I could see people volunteering services, people asking for funds, and people volunteering willingly, people taking care of one another. I mean, the level of compassion and care for the other person, the neighbor, which seemed to be something that we wouldn't really say we were proud of as Nigerians doing. You could now see that among these protesters. And for me, the reason is not far-fetched. Now we have hit on the head one item on the table that everybody in Nigeria is united about, at least most people. There are here and there hoodlums trying to disrupt this protest, but anyone who has been in this country will know that what the protest represents is what the common man has been suffering.
I mean, from Kano to Calabar, from Sokoto to Maiduguri and Lagos and Warri, everybody knows that we have been suffering under not only police brutality, but the brutality of security forces, security agents. Yeah. We have had a colonial police that was there to beat the people down to submission. Yeah. Now, so this one issue is uniting Nigerians. Oh, yes. And you mentioned the sense of sacrifice among young people.
Yes.
It was raining in Lagos a few days ago, and they were there in the rain.
Yes.
They slept there.
Yeah.
They are bringing money out of their own pockets to
run
the demonstration.
Yeah.
Feed one another.
Yeah. I mean, the level of oppression has been so high, or oppression on the level of people's, first of all, illiteracy. I can tell you that I saw people join the protest that all they know is that the system is just not working. But they really can't differentiate their left from their right, unquote. But they are ready to listen and channel their energy behind what they see to be for the common good. So I saw people on platforms giving what looked like education, citizens' rights education,
civic education
to protesters. And Well, I mean, in your introduction, you talked about the government announcing the ban of SARS and all that. Interestingly, afraid to say that a little too late, because the antics, I mean, when you play some of these antics, it's a dangerous thing to have been using this same style for so long. Now, it's like, what else? Which other trick are you going to bring? Because we're used to this. We've seen this over and over again. So the only thing that is going to make anything change is actual results. I must say I feel for the government on one hand, it's not a good place to be. Anybody who is in government now should really be scratching his head and wondering what exactly he's going to do. But that can only come from the genuineness of wanting to serve the people. Anything short of that, I'm afraid, might indeed topple the government.
So, for a long time, Nigerians have lost faith.
Yes.
Nigerians have lost trust in those who lead them.
Yeah.
In every sector. I mean, young Nigerians have lost trust in their parents. They have lost trust in their teachers. They have lost trust in their politicians. They have lost trust in their, of course, police. Now, we got to a stage where Nigerians started saying, we prefer the armed robbers to the SARS.
You can imagine how bad that is. And it's also interesting that while all of this protest is going on, that people are not just coming out and leaving their brains behind. For instance, when it started a couple of days ago, it started with a lot of tension because the police, for instance, imagined that the regular police officer, I would say, imagined that this was a fight between bloody civilians and police in uniform. But now they can see that that's not all exactly what it is. That the interest of the police person is also being catered for within the protest. People are intelligent enough to know that you cannot earn 50,000, 60,000 naira as a police officer and go around with a rifle and be able to take care of your family, for instance.
I think that is one of the most one of the most intelligent dimensions of this protest.
Oh, yeah.
That the young people have included the welfare of the police.
Oh, yeah. Now, no, the thing is, the protest is result-oriented. We have identified that we've been so oppressed. We've identified that SARS has been killing us. That's the reason why the goalpost is shifting so quickly. You might want to say, why, if you made this request, why is it that if SARS has been banned, you can't go back home? The reason is that we now know that that's not the solution to the problem. So since our leaders are not able to come up with ideas, we want to help them. We now know that it's not just about banning this. What magic are you going to do? You ban SARS, and the welfare of the policeman is still so poor that he would be forced to use the tool that he has, the gun in his hand, to still oppress another person. Like a lot of the protesters have said, keep the gun aside. On fighting anyone physically, a lot of these armed people, whether it is the military or the police, they probably will not beat the protesters at it. So the creativity involved is at a very high level. Of course, we can now see that we need to think beyond just earning one unit of the police force or the other. Yeah.
Now, I mean, you are an IT person. One of the most fascinating dimensions of this Endsars protest has been the level of IT sophistication.
Oh, yeah?
We are told, I don't know whether it is true, we are told that there was the first initial effort to raise money to fund this protest.
Yeah.
First, the government felt, perhaps there are some unscrupulous elements funding these people.
Oh, yeah.
Then they discovered that there is nobody funding them.
Yeah.
Then they now saw that there are crowdfunding ventures, crowdfunding platforms that they are using. And the government were told, we heard, I don't know whether it is true, try to block it. And then we are told that they went beyond that and then, to set up Bitcoin.
Yeah. So like they say, I mean, necessity is the mother of all invention. It's a good thing that is happening. Even the young people, the protesters, are challenging themselves, like I said, in creating solutions for their problem, immediate and long term. It's IT today has made a lot of this possible. The first video that went around about a fellow being shot, I know we've had several of these cases in the past, but perhaps all of this is bottled up anger that is now being unleashed. And very quickly, this information or things happening in one part of the country is easily spreading around. So the momentum, people can see.
So you believe that what is happening is bottled up anger.
Oh yeah.
Anger that has not found avenues to express itself.
Oh yeah. And I mean, even like a lot of the protesters will say that the issue with SARS on one hand is you have young people with talent, with initiatives who want to express themselves in different ways. As entrepreneurs, as entertainers and all that. And you insist that you can't have this kind of attire. You can't wear this kind of hairstyle. You can't do this, you can't do that. The young person does not want to be caged in such a manner. We have the law.
But they didn't have the authorization of the law to do that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So all they've been doing is illegal. And we're saying enough is enough. Enough is enough. So it comes to an end at a particular point.
And now they are making the SARS issue just a metaphor.
Oh, yeah. I think
a rallying point
very good.
For more diverse issues.
Yeah. And since we've hardly agreed among ourselves, hardly ever agreed among ourselves this much, everyone can now see that this is a good opportunity for us to bring a lot of things on the table and get them solved once and for all.
So for you, you believe that the issue of SARS is just one.
It's just one.
And that there will be a basket of issues.
Oh yeah, they are already coming out. They are already coming out. And to really see the protest for what it is, the issue of SARS, I mean, I'm not Mr. President, I'm not the IG of police, but for anybody who is seeing the country as it is, you would know that, I mean, see how short-sighted it was when it was called one name, SARS, immediately banned,
yes,
and switched,
immediately,
to another name. When we know that it's not such an easy process. The rot, what is fueling what the SARS operatives were doing? I even analyzed it and I said, the Nigerian police, as it were, its operational style, right? How do I hear of people being arrested and tortured. It is like the operations of SARS is just a metaphor for the entire Nigerian police.
We have parts of this country where there are no SARS.
Yeah.
And yet, this thing about arresting people, extorting money from people, torturing people, it goes on.
Oh, yeah.
So, SARS, they just represent Nigeria police force, who see themselves as a force that has been made to intimidate the people, extort money from the people, and use the gun and say, I will waste you and nothing will happen.
How unfortunate. How unfortunate. The same people we select from amongst ourselves to say, we give you the privilege to protect us, we give you the privilege to secure the environment and keep a safe space. These same people do have brothers and sisters and family among us. So how the system has walked them into a space where they are now the ones lording it over us.
I did hear, I spoke to a senior person in one of the security agencies sometime in the past, who told me that they are there to protect the government in power, period.
Okay.
Now, is this a time now, has the time come now for all those in all security agencies to know that they are there to protect to serve Nigeria and Nigerians, and not just the people in power at a particular time?
I would believe that because of the lopsided nature of a lot of things we've had in the country, that a lot of us would be doing things that we're really not reflecting upon. To be fair to some of those who have been trained and are working in some of these establishments as armed officials, so to say. But I believe that the issues that are being brought up at this protest now should force everyone to sit down and reflect. So like you say, the mentality of someone in a uniform thinking he is there to serve an individual, I think for each and every one of us, we need to begin to sit down and reflect on the conduct of our affairs. That might be the way the service is structured, and the system is skewed to favor such an operation. But it's not enough to say that you are part of such a system and you are not thinking for yourself and you are not thinking about your operations as an individual.
Soon, Nigerians, individual Nigerians are going to be held to account. What some of the efforts being made by government in response to the Endsars, and what many people are suggesting is that there needs to be Truth and Reconciliation Commission in every state, so that everybody whose relation has been tortured, everybody who has been detained without trial for years, everybody who has been whose relation has been killed, everybody who has been extorted from, that they all come and put their cases on the table. And then we try to identify which officer, which police officer, which SSS officer, which soldier did this, so that such people can be named and shamed. And then people, the rest will learn that you don't do this in a democracy.
We have a lot in our hands. I'm aware there are cases where people just disappear. And up till now, there are cases that for 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, family members you don't see anymore, and there is no closure. Am I to imagine that my brother, whom I didn't see again, is dead or alive? Is it to hope that someday I'm going to find him in some cell or somewhere? So indeed, a thorough investigation needs to happen, so that people can have some kind of closure, and indeed punishment can be meted to those who are held on account responsible for some of these cases.
Clearly, so what Endsars means really is end impunity. End impunity. Let there be rule of law. And in that rule of law, each person is equal before the law.
Correct.
So you don't have to be a big man.
The police, for instance, or all the armed forces, they are being run by taxpayers' money. So why would a few people be so privileged to arrogate these powers and the services of these officials all to themselves, and leave the rest of us for ourselves? I mean, there are cases where you would even see some of the big men, in quote, would use these police officers or military officers to torture others on account of frivolities. You
minor
might say.
things, yes.
You know. So I think it's a good thing
so
happening.
part of the Endsars is a major reformation and transformation of our country.
Correct. And well, like I said, an interesting time for government. We're watching and waiting to see how quick and the kind of measures that would come up now. But a lot has really gone wrong. And like I said, bottled up anger, so much is coming out now. I think a lot faster than they can possibly process. But there's so much that needs to be unearthed and really dealt with. But my prayer is, we can see the level of intelligence that has gone into a lot of these protests, that we can now begin to work out strategies and modalities, perhaps in helping the government, because we've seen that they've demonstrated largely that they are not able to cope with the kind of demands that are being made right now, so we see how the next couple of days go.
The young people need to be congratulated for the organization.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been talking about our young people being lazy, our young people being just sitting down and watching Big Brother and so on and so forth. But those same young people have demonstrated their intelligence.
Yeah.
They have demonstrated their patriotism.
Yeah.
I mean, they hold the national flag. They sing the national anthem.
Yeah.
They are demonstrating that they love this country.
And which is also a testament to the fact that given a conducive environment, that these intelligent young ones would have avenues to channel their energy and their intelligence to. Unfortunately, the country is not so deployed to encourage people to do so. So these are all what we are finding.
Well, we have been speaking of potential, Nigerians, potential. Now the young people are telling us that they want to actualize, and that they are not waiting for them to give us. They are not waiting for us to give them that opportunity. That they are seizing it. They are recognizing something that people have constantly recognized before. That you do not. Nobody gives you power, you take it.
Okay.
Oh, nobody gives you power, you take it. So the young people are recognizing that they have power because they have the population.
Yeah. The numbers, I mean, the youth have the numbers, and but in a country like Nigeria, in a lopsided country like Nigeria, I mean, sorry to use that word, I also believe that our oppressors, quote unquote, know that if the young ones are given the chance, that things like this could happen. So I think it has been a systematic way of just keeping people where they are, so to say, to enable their empire, their selfish empire and their selfish interests continue to thrive. But like they say, you can only go so far and no more.
You can oppress some of the people some of the time, but you cannot oppress all the people all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, like I said, for some people this is a very frightening time.
Correct.
But there are others who think that these are very exciting times.
Oh yeah.
For you, what is it?
For me, it's a great opportunity that has come. I mean, I pray constantly when I see what looks like violent scenes here and there, because the protesters themselves, even though they've conducted themselves in a very orderly manner, but like I said, I mean, when you fight evil, an evil structure would not just sit back and watch you take up the space. So we see here and there hoodlums being paid to disrupt this protest. And interestingly, in some cases where the protesters have run after the hoodlums, caught them, beat them up, they go treating them or taking them to the hospital.
That was a very gracious sight.
How interesting
to see
is
that those who wanted to come and disrupt the protests with cutlasses and machetes and so on, that the protesters pursued them, arrested them, beat them, and took them to hospital.
Correct.
I felt like applauding the protesters for doing something so gracious.
Yeah.
On this note, we will bring this segment of the program to an end. I have been speaking with Mr. Mike Egbe, a youth leader himself and media director of Terra Leadership Foundation. And we've been discussing this ongoing Endsars protests. And is it a new dawn? Is it midnight? And he says it's a wonderful opportunity for the pent-up anger among young people to be expressed and for young people to have their say in the running of this country. Thank you very much for coming to the studio. We'll have another segment to discuss further this whole thing that is going on, what these opportunities you spoke about, what they are.
Thank you, Father. Thanks for having me.